Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thanks. I just started our recording, if that's okay with you.
No worries.
Yeah. How are things in Texas?
Things are good. I'm actually going to New Mexico and it's going to be lows of 20s and highs
Okay.
of 50s. So it was like 84 here today.
Oh, wow.
So quite a bit of change.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good. It was a beautiful day. Can't complain. So,
Cool. Yeah. We
and
had,
where are you located again? In
we're in
Kentucky?
Louisville, Kentucky.
Nice. I love Kentucky. One of my favorite places.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice, except for the allergies.
Yes.
But yeah. Oh, my screen's a little blurry. Is it blurry on your end?
I think I can see okay.
Okay. Might have been my lighting. Okay. So, so where's your current internship?
I'm currently at Mansfield ISD. It's I don't know if you're familiar with North Texas at all, but it's actually I guess it's not really in North Texas. It's near Arlington,
Okay.
which is where like Six Flags is and where the Rangers live.
Yeah.
Um, it's actually my second placement. I was in Illinois for 2.5 months and then I switched locations. So
Okay.
yeah,
Cool. How do you like it?
I love it. It is a big commute from where I live. I'm living back with my parents, and it's about an hour and a half commute every like drive out there. But I love it. I love working with the kids, and it's a good, diverse population. Um, and then I had experience in like residential treatment facility back in Illinois, and so I love that too. And it's nice to kind of have a wide variety of things to learn about. So.
Cool. Yeah. That's awesome. Except for the drive, right?
Yes, yes, except for the drive and, highways and things, but the actual internship, once I get there, is pretty great.
Okay, cool. I've never been to Texas, but I'm a big baseball fan, so I'm familiar with Arlington, the city.
Yes, it was actually the district and surrounding districts actually canceled school on Friday because there
Okay.
was a big parade that was going on. So,
National World Series. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah. Cool. So how did you decide like where to go for your internships? Like what made you apply to where you are?
So, I graduated from Texas Women. Well, I haven't graduated yet, but I did my coursework at Texas Women's University.
Hmm.
And I had practicum experience with early education, like infants, and then in a school, and then in memory care. And I just knew that I didn't really like working with older adults all that much, and that I was really kind of fit to work with kids.
Hmm.
And so when I was looking at internships, my professors kind of told me that you're probably going to have to move just because Texas is kind of a hot spot for places.
Hmm.
And so I was really looking for a place that had a treatment or not treatment, therapeutic orientation that I really liked,
Yeah.
and also the population. And then, as long as it was a state that I would be comfortable living in. And so I'm really big into trauma-informed care
Hmm.
and, you know, like neurodiverse orientations. And so
Yeah.
I initially was looking into things like that. And like I said, working with kids, and that it would be a good experience. Would I be able to co-treat and where I'd be able to kind of grow in things that, like in ways that I wouldn't in past practicum experiences.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I don't know. You said you're a junior, right?
I'm a junior. Yeah. I'm in my first practicum right now.
Nice. So have you been, when are you expected to start looking at internships?
I'll graduate in spring of 2025. So I have
Nice.
three more
Okay.
semesters. So yeah,
Yeah. Very cool.
shortly after that.
So I actually went through a lot of different phases of not applying, but kind of searching. I would go through and I'd have my list of 4 places that I'd be really interested in, and then I would sleep on it for a couple weeks, and then something new would pop up in my head, and then I'd go back, and my list shifted so many times. And I also was considering like application dates. They're all kind of different.
Hmm.
And I initially was going to apply for a school district that's pretty close to where I live currently.
Yeah.
And the application was like in March of 2023, and I didn't want to wait that long. And so it was another kind of push into a direction that had like an earlier start date.
Nice.
So yeah, that's kind of how I searched for the different internship opportunities that I was looking for. I also kind of took every opportunity to go to any of the networking events that, um, what region are y'all in?
We're in like what part of the state?
Or are y'all in the, because I'm in the southwestern region. Are you in which like regional,
We're in
if
like,
you know off the top of your head?
I'm not sure what they
Okay,
consider
I
it.
don't know where Kentucky would be considered.
I guess
Sometimes
like,
the
I guess Eastern, Middle Eastern,
yeah, okay.
sort of.
Sometimes those um different regional sorry, my thing. Sometimes the regional organizations will have different opportunities for networking. And then online you'll find that so like the Facebook group that you posted in, they have a lot of different like symposium type things or different sessions that
Mhm.
a lot of I was able to go to a lot where actual internship directors were networking and doing little like meet and greets.
Yeah.
And so I actually met with a lot of people that were directors at hospitals. And I would have loved to go to a hospital. I just knew that I wasn't really fit to clinically grow there
Yeah.
for personal reasons. But yeah, that's kind of what I did. It all kind of changed. I took a leap in applying to somewhere out of state, and I loved it. It just didn't work out with stuff that was going that was kind of out of my internship director and I's control.
Mhm.
Um, but then I had really good support at my university, and so I was able to get into a university affiliated internship to kind of finish my stuff out. So
Very nice. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I'll have to find out about that. Excuse me, I've got all those Kentucky allergies going.
yeah, I've been sick for the last 2 weeks, so that's why I sound kind of raspy too.
I've got a hot drink here and a cold drink and coffee. I'm all loaded up here. Um, it'll clear up and come right back.
hmm
But yeah, I'll have to check into the region. I'm not really sure what they would consider that. I'll have to look into that. So
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head. I know that Kentucky. Yeah, I don't know. I have a
yeah,
friend that's in Minnesota right now, and I know she's in Great Lakes. And then so like that's like up here, and then the Southwestern's down here, but I know Kentucky's over here, so I don't know what that's
yeah.
considered.
I'll
But
see if I can look it up later. Yeah, that would probably be good to know. So here, just like I have questions. So I think you kind of already answered this one. You like working with kids, you said?
yeah, I grew up and did a lot of extracurricular stuff in school. So I did FFA, and band and all those things. And I loved being at the shows and working with like mentoring younger students, like younger student peers.
Yeah.
Um, and my personality is just more fit to be with bubbly, energetic little people compared
Mhm.
to older adults. And so I knew that the type of like the things that I was learning in classes and the things that I was reading, I just kind of fell in love with the idea of working with kids. And then being in the practicum setting where I was able to do that in a school and then with like an 8-month-old baby, it was just so cool and exciting.
Yeah.
And my professors joked that I got like the cycle of life because I had like an 8-month-old baby and then like memory care. And so both ends of the spectrum, but
Yeah.
I just love more of I like being able to be super creative and like in that developmental stage of life. And so, um, yeah, I love working with kids and it's nice.
Yeah. I'm wanting to go into pediatric oncology. I'm really big into working with kids too. So
Yeah, my the one
yeah.
that I said is living in Minnesota. She is actually at Children's Minnesota doing her internship right now. And so she moved from Texas too and went way up there. Um, But yeah, and she connected with those people through all those different conference type things I was talking about. So
Okay.
there's lots of good resources. If I think about them after, I can send you all the places that I'm thinking of. It's like they're like in my head, but kind of
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah. Awesome. So what's like your biggest takeaway so far that I think you said you were like done with internship in December?
Yes, I'm done in December. It's been a really rocky, unexpected. I didn't think I was gonna have an experience like this. Because like I said, I moved away from home, like 700 miles from home, and then was there and everything was great, and then suddenly it wasn't. And so then I like moved within a week's notice, or not even a week's notice, and then had a 3-week break, and then started at a new site, and it was very different and a lot of kind of processing I know that you might have talked about like the termination part of music therapy,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't really get that with my clients that I'd made a really good relationship with back in Illinois. And so just kind of working through that while still trying to be 100% there for all the new kiddos that I was getting to see has been kind of a challenge. Um, and just trying to navigate, they always talk about self-care in college, but I feel like there's not always like there's a lot of talk about doing it, but there's not a lot of time to actually do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that I learned really quickly in internship is that you do your work at your work, and then you get to leave it home. You don't have a billion assignments when you come home. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have all this stuff. Like it's designed for you to be doing it within your 40-hour work week, which is so nice because
Mm-hmm.
it actually gives you some time to actually do the self-care. Um, because I thought going in that I was actually pretty okay at doing that. And then when I realized that I got there, I was like, I actually don't know how to do it because I haven't had time to actually implement any of it.
Yeah.
Um, but I think the biggest takeaway is just knowing to always be super honest with people that are on your side, and your support systems, like your faculty and stuff, because they have a ton of experience and they know a ton of people, and they, at the end of the day, are essentially there to protect you and your education. And so they are going to make sure that you are safe wherever you're at and that you're getting the best internship experience, which at the end of the day is just to make you ready to be a professional whenever you are
Yeah.
done with the like 1,200 hours or whatever it is.
Right.
Um, so it is not, it's a very interesting kind of 6 months you're going to go through, especially if there's like a big traumatic change in between, or like whatever your personal life is going to end up being during your internship. I know I, I, I ended up doing it where I knew that I was going to be done before December. So I'm actually planning a wedding right now. And
Oh,
so it's like I have like personal stuff with the internship school stuff, and trying to just navigate all that but still be in the moment
yeah.
is a big takeaway that's not gonna, like, you have to learn that now because there's no one that's going to teach you that whenever you're actually a working professional.
Yeah.
So it's nice to be like honest about all your feelings and ask a ton of questions, clarify things. So
Okay.
yeah.
Good. So what's the most challenging part you think of internship? Is that's kind of tied into that last answer, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah, I think the most challenging thing is just existing in the moment. I don't know what type of personality you have, but I am the type of person that's very, I'm kind of a perfectionist. I mean, I am. I'm pretty much a
Mm-hmm.
perfectionist, and it's like you have to. It's good to be a perfectionist in ways that you're very hardworking and you're very diligent about wanting to be the best version of yourself you can be. But if you're constantly in that perfectionist state of mind, you're not actually being the best for your clients. And so I guess the biggest thing is just trying to navigate you as an intern, and there's not really a good way to define you as an intern because people don't really define that for you. Um, but being able to just be the intern and to use that time, like those 6 months, to practice all the things that you want to practice while you have direct supervision, like self-care things when you're not dealing with a million different things when you actually get a job. You're just dealing with, I know I'm going to be at the internship. I know it's kind of low stakes because I'm here for my hours. So I guess that's the most challenging part for me, has just been remembering that I'm there as an intern, and that, the self-care actually is important because,
Yeah.
you will get sick if you,
Mhm.
don't rest and stuff, but it's hard, especially coming out of college, if you are a person that typically might be on that more like perfection
Mhm.
spectrum. You have to kind of unlearn some of that stuff. I have one of my supervisors, we like to talk about how things just aren't as serious as they're made out to be. It's just,
Mhm.
it's not that serious if
Yeah.
you did this and this and this. And you don't have to be a perfect musician. You just have to be proficient. And that's just a kind of a very hard pill to swallow, especially when you come from like a very musical background. Music is all about being perfect when you're learning in school.
Mhm.
But it's really not that it's not that deep and not that serious, because you're wanting to help and be there for the client, and you can't be there for the client if you're just in your head.
Yeah.
Um, but it is a completely different experience than practicum, because that is your full-time thing that you're doing. And so
Yeah.
it kind of makes the shift a little easier. Um, but yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I totally relate to that. I'm very perfectionist OCD type. I think that's a musician
Yes, yeah,
thing.
I also, during this whole thing, was going off and on trying to figure out, medication things, because college made me realize that that was an actual diagnosable,
Mhm.
thing that I needed to deal with. It wasn't just me being, a high-strung teenager that needed to go
Mhm.
through this high-strung music program. And so
Mhm.
I think that it's good, and it's very interesting depending on who your supervisor is and when they went to school. I feel like mental health has been more recently talked about in the last couple years,
Yeah.
but especially like since the pandemic. And
Mhm.
so my supervisors, they graduated from TWU like I did, but they didn't have as much emphasis on mental health and self-care when they were
Mhm.
going through school. So like, you learn a lot from your supervisor, but they also learn a lot from you. And
Yeah.
so that's the number one priority, is just, you're there to be the intern, you're there to
Mhm.
like learn all the things.
Mhm.
And that's another thing whenever you're doing your internship application process. I know my professors kind of stress this to me, but you're interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you.
Yeah.
And I think if they don't emphasize or hold space for things that you're going to come in with, like you're going to come in with that perfectionism and you're going to come in with those
Mhm.
OCD tendencies, if there's not room to hold space for that, it might not be the best
Yeah.
place for you to be 40 hours a week for however many months.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a big
because
decision.
yes, and especially in oncology, if you want to do that type of work, that's a really
Mhm.
kind of dark, heavy
Mhm.
spot to be sitting.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
Yeah. I haven't done any practicum in that yet, but I'm kind of wanting to, just to try it out,
yeah, and I don't know how it is at your school, but if your professors can get to know you and they know that that's a passion of yours, then
Mhm.
hopefully they can do whatever they can to help get you
Yeah.
in that
I think they
position to
have to
have a
give
practicum there.
they give the seniors first priority so they can get all
Yeah,
the areas, before they graduate, which is
that's awesome.
understandable. But yeah. So this being my first one, I didn't kind of low on the
Where are
total.
you where are you at? What
So
population are you at?
I went to it's like 17 and under.
Oh, nice.
It's like a variety of special needs. It's a place called Sweet Behavior. It's in
Cool.
Jeffersonville, Indiana.
Nice.
So yeah, yeah, it went pretty well. So I was working one on one with the kid there. So
Cool. Yeah, that's always fun.
yeah, I kind of like to try some group stuff too. I'm sure I'll get an opportunity to do that at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So whenever you get like stuck on something, you don't have the answer to it. Like, what's your? Do you have any particular strategies on how to find the answer? I know it's kind of a broad question, but like it depends on the situation.
Yeah, I guess are you talking more clinical or just like navigating internship as a person?
Mm, either or both.
Um, I think as a person, um, like a specific example when I was trying to make the transition between my first site or my first placement to my next, and I was kind of in a really dark place because I'd never really gone through like a grieving type process before.
Hmm.
Um, and I just asked anyone I could think of for resources and just like explicitly said like I need help. This is why. And asked all the questions. And if it's a question that they can't answer for whatever like ethical reason or
Hmm.
a personal reason, they won't, but it doesn't hurt to ask. And so just kind of trying to drop any walls that I have with my, OCD tendencies
Yeah.
to drop the walls and then just be like completely honest, like this is what I need and ask the questions because people are going to be there to help. And there's a lot of people as you start getting further in your degree, you'll meet more and more music therapists, and they're normal people, and they are always welcome to help people that are learning. Um, and so just asking for resources, and it's it's helpful to also ask people for perspectives that aren't in the field
Oh.
because they can kind of give some perspectives on things. One of the program director actually, she did a lot of work um, in a children's pediatric hospital. And she said that they go through rituals whenever there's a lot, if there's a death or if there's, a bad day or something, they'll go through rituals to kind of hold space for the client, but also allow themselves to move on because
Mm.
music therapy was not there to like save anyone, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And so kind of taking the weight off of you that you're not, again, it's not that serious. You're not the most important person in a way and to
Mhm.
take some of that stress off you. And then clinically wise, just trying everything and again, just asking questions because I think that no question is a silly question to ask. And if it's not answered in a way that's helpful, then that doesn't do any good for someone that's trying to learn.
Yeah.
And in internship, you're there to learn. So it's it's a very open and healthy learning environment. And there's a lot of people, if they don't know the answer, then they can usually have a contact to help you
Okay.
if you ever get stuck. Um, like the last 2 weeks, I've been kind of sick. And so I've been trying to figure out how to healthily sing without, ruining my vocals or anything like that. And so we kind of worked through a plan to try and minimize the amount of singing I was doing.
Yeah.
Um, so that I can still do other things, but then kind of like lay off my voice a little bit this week. Um, and then just know that it's a place for you to be brainstorming everything. You're not gonna like hurt the patient or hurt the client. You're just um you're doing it in a place that's supervised. And so yeah, just be open and be honest with yourself and not too hard on yourself and yeah, which is
Yeah.
really easy to say and not that easy to do, but
Yeah.
when you're doing it 5 days a week for 40 hours, it's a little easier to start, and you do it so often that you can kind of make those changes immediately. So,
Yeah. That's nice. Yeah. Gives you a chance to adjust. Yeah. Nice. So, what's the most rewarding part so far? What do you like the
I
best about?
think I like looking back on myself my like freshman year of college or my junior year when I first started having practicums and just
Mhm.
realizing how far I've come both clinically and musically. And from a place where during that time, during junior year of college, which was arguably one of the worst in terms of the things you're doing,
Yeah.
um, it's a place of a lot of self, for me personally, it was a place of a lot of self criticism and comparison to others and everything. But then looking back now, however many years forward, I only have like 2 months left in my internship
Yeah.
and stuff that I couldn't even, I could barely hold a guitar when I first started. And
Mm,
to know that I can just like pick up something and learn it by ear isn't something that I would ever think that I'd be able to consider easy to myself.
yeah.
Um, so just being able to look back on the hard work and know that it was actually worth it.
Yeah.
But then also and you'll probably find this in your practicum too, but there's moments that'll happen on the day to day that just make everything else so much better. Like this morning, um, we do a lot of ECSE early childhood groups because that's
Mhm.
actually I have a job lined up in early childhood, so we're
Yeah.
doing as many groups in the district as we can.
Hmm.
And there's a kid there that's usually really hard to behaviorally manage just because he has a lot going on in his little 3-year-old brain and he's
Yeah.
often dysregulated, and if he's upset, then he kind of sets off this other kid in the class, and it's just a whole thing. But
Hmm.
he was having a good day, and we brought dinosaurs in. We were doing a dinosaur themed session. And at the end, he walked up to the ukulele and was strumming it and smiling for like
Right.
more than 5 minutes. And that's a lot when you think
Yeah.
of a 3-year-old that's not typically developing,
For sure. Yeah.
who is upset most of the time because he can't regulate himself. And so moments like that are really nice because
Yeah.
it's like, wow, you actually like can see the stuff that you're reading actually
Hmm.
work.
Yeah.
Um, and then just little moments that you have with a client that your supervisor might not even have. Like it's just moments you and the client, like you're providing music to them, and it's just really sweet because especially if you end up in a place that you really enjoy,
Hmm.
then those moments, it makes the commute worth it. It makes everything,
Yeah.
everything getting to that point, and you'll be able to look back on difficult moments of your college life and then be like, wow, it's actually closer in the future of me doing this as a job,
Hmm.
and I still have the spark for it. I still want to do it, and I know people that are going to be in my circle now to help me be the clinician that I want.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's been really rewarding, especially just coming from the craziness that it's been, and just still getting to have those moments where I can just completely let go of my head and then just really tune in. And yeah.
Yeah. I read a lot about burnout, so that's those moments are really important.
Yeah. And I know that it's burnout is one thing which is very, very real, but I feel like I have had a lot of like it's been hard to describe how internship has been going when I talk to my professors, especially since the transition, just because I feel like there's a lot of like, how do I actually define what I'm supposed to be as an intern? Because I thought I had it right one way and then it ended up being wrong.
Hmm.
And so trying to just be super honest with them, but sometimes the words just don't come out the way, or you don't want to necessarily talk about it in a fully truthful way. Your brain just can't. And so like journaling helps a lot, but also realizing that it might not be burnout if, it might just be the spark has been lost. And so you're trying to, like, I think that that's like, I'm not burnt out from my internship right now. I just feel like some of the spark is a little dim because of all the different things that I'm thinking about outside of
Hmm.
internship.
Yeah.
And so little things that happened today in the ECSE class kind of help brighten that spark up a little bit more.
Yeah.
Um, so, and burnout is very real and might very well happen.
Hmm.
But I think for me, trying to shift it into like thinking of something that can actually grow
Yeah.
again, like a little light that's either dim or bright,
Yeah.
has been helpful too. So,
Nice.
but It's very real, especially whenever you have, you know, mental health
Hmm.
things that you're working through. But as you go through the profession, you kind of learn that almost like a lot of people actually go through that. And so you're not going to be alone whenever you're trying to navigate that between students and between your supervisors.
Yeah.
So it's a very open
Yeah.
field when it comes to that.
Yeah. I've got a little hurdle. I think I get a little bit shy sometimes with questions, and I don't ask as many as I should. So I probably need to work on that. But
Yeah, it's what I like to do because sometimes, like I said, it's hard for me to actually get what I want out when I want to say it. So
mhm,
what I've been doing in meetings, because I've had to have a lot with all this stuff,
mm,
is as I'm thinking about questions, I just write them down so that whenever the meeting comes,
yeah.
even if it's a thought that I had like 3 days ago that doesn't actually apply anymore, it's still good to bring it up because it might not mean something to you, but it might still be good um, to mention. And I think that
Mhm,
that skill, I took it in whenever I was asking questions about this job opportunity, and my OCD brain could say that it might make them think that I don't want the opportunity.
mhm,
But from an analytical standpoint, you're asking all the questions because you want to know that you're going to be a good fit for them too, and you want to know all that before you get started.
yeah.
And you can ask those questions in internship interviews. Ask them to your professors. I know as I was going through my list, I every single time something would change on my list, I'd go ask my professors because, like I said, they know everyone, and so they're able to give some feedback. Um, if they think it might not be the best fit for you, they're not endorsing
Mhm,
it or anything, but just giving uh, some assistance to
mhm,
kind of help with that, which is nice too. But
yeah.
you don't know if you don't ask, so
Yeah.
it's hard unless you start doing it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I might just start. Nope. Sorry. Something just clicked on my screen. Oh, it's telling me we have 7 minutes left.
okay.
But,
Yeah, start or even just like writing them down in an email and starting with an email conversation is
yeah.
also nice because it's like it's not as intense as going into a professor's room and being like, okay, here's my laptop full of questions, which I
Yeah.
again I do that all the time, but um it is nice to have it written down first of all.
Mhm,
Um because you learn with stuff like internship and jobs and things.
mhm,
It's very important to have things in writing. And so if you can start your questions in writing, then that means that usually they'll have to get written back to you.
yeah.
So it's just nice and also to validate yourself of like, okay, this was answered, you
All
know.
right.
So
And to help you remember the answers. Yeah. Yeah. That's fine.
yes, yes.
Yeah. There's a lot of information to take in. So, let's see. I think I just have a few more for you. Excuse me. So what helps give you a confidence boost like the most? Like, is there like one particular thing that's happened that's like really giving you confidence boost, or is it just those moments of looking back to see
I
where you
think
started?
it's just looking back, I guess. Um, I know I like my confidence dropped a lot when I went into college. And so it's been a slow uphill climb to get back. Um, and it's been a mix of things. It's been, you know, everyday little experiences,
Mhm,
and you're not always going to get the validation whenever you walk out of a session that like you did a good job. So it's like it's reframing your own talk to be the like you need to be the person that's validating the things that you do
yeah,
because I know for me, if I'm relying on a supervisor to do that and they don't, then that's going to devastate me.
yeah,
But it's not the supervisor's job to always do that. And so you're hurting yourself if you're not pointing out the really good things that happen in a session. And I record myself a lot as I go through things and I did in college too. And so also just going back and looking at
mhm,
how things went or even if you might find that when you get a hospital practicum and then you go do your internship at a hospital,
Hmm.
you'll be able to do some things that you tried out in practicum when you're an intern
Yeah.
and realize that it works whenever you actually have more education and practice behind it.
Yeah.
So, and
Nice.
also just remembering that like you only have to be proficient and you're learning for a reason. And that I didn't
Yeah.
really grasp onto that until very recently. Like it's okay that you're learning because you're literally there to learn. So just trying to like shift your mindset on that.
I think it's pretty common for people to be harder on themselves
Yeah,
than they
yeah,
should
for
be.
sure.
But yeah, more experience. Yeah, that's good to know. That'll improve. So,
Yes.
so why did you decide to go into the music therapy field? Like
I
originally?
like I said, I did goats and I showed goats and all those things, and I did band, and I was either gonna do one or the other.
Yeah.
And I liked science, but I didn't like going to labs, and so I didn't want to go study genetics because I didn't want to be in college science labs all day. And
Hmm.
I didn't want to be a band teacher because I was always really annoyed when students weren't behaving correctly in
Yeah.
class. And I couldn't picture myself being in front of a band that had all the people that didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
So when I learned, kind of had that epiphany moment that people always talk about whenever you
Hmm.
learn that your interests in psychology and music can come together for music therapy.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if you're familiar with FCCLA. Um, it's like a high school extracurricular, but I did an interview of a music therapist when I was a senior in high school. And so that kind of helped. I didn't discover music therapy until I was a senior in high school. Um, but yeah, as soon as I realized that that's what I wanted to do, it was very much there's no other option. And I I hated oral skills when I started school, and so I definitely went through every day being like, oh, I should change my major because I'm not doing well in oral skills. But then I realized that there wasn't anything else I really wanted to do.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
All right.
that's kind of why.
Cool. I think that's all I have for you. Is there anything else I should know about internship or anything you can think of that I didn't ask?
I will try and because it's gonna be hard if I try to like list them out on here, but I do have a lot of places that I can think of that I found little like virtual meetings. And it's so helpful because even if you're not interested in applying to this one place, like
Hmm.
I talked to the director from Banner Health. It's a hospital in Arizona, I think. And she told me straight up that the children's hospital wasn't going to be a part of the internship. And I was like, okay, great. I don't want to work with adults. So, but
Yeah.
I still talked to her for 15 minutes. And it's nice, like any little connection you make,
Yeah.
it's validating in itself, but it's also good to just be talking to people.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so I can pull up some of those things and message them to you
Okay.
because
Great.
they happen all the time. And even if it's not in your region, you don't have to
Mhm.
like you can still go. They're usually free for students.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
yeah.
Any resources would be great. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just think overall just be trust the process.
Yeah.
Even when it's hard, trust the process because people are going to be in your circle and they're going to want you to succeed. And it's about being proficient and
Yeah.
not perfect. So, yeah.
Well, I appreciate your time. It's getting ready to cut us off here, but
Yes, of course.
I
It
know
was nice meeting you.
time is valuable, and I really appreciate it. So,
Yeah, of course. I'll message you anything I can think of and yeah, let me know if you have any other
okay.
questions.
Yeah. Hopefully, we can stay connected. I appreciate you. Thanks.
Yeah.
Talk
Bye.
later. Bye.